Hello and welcome to the Gale Hill Radio Hour. I'm your host, Kate Jones, having a conversation with Jondi Whitis, a master trainer in EFT. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques and is commonly referred to as tapping. Jondi's calling is helping others feel better fast, and she's here to talk about how EFT figures into that. Jondi, thank you for being on the show today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh my gosh, I've looked forward to this conversation.
Well, me too, because I do love spreading the word of self-help and self-care to everyone.
That's great. And so we're going to talk specifically about EFT. And in simple terms, this is what I want to know. In simple terms, What is EFT?
Oh, goodness. This is so much fun to tell people about. This is a very simple, easily learned way to release emotional overwhelm, to release limiting beliefs about your challenges, even pain sensations. And it's drug-free. This is a modern set of techniques using that mind-body connection everybody's heard about. And the great thing about it, I believe, is that it's so flexible. You can use it for self-care or self-help. You can use it for peer-to-peer care. Or if you are in practiced hands, you can even use it therapeutically.
So why is the word freedom in the name?
Great question. When we become free of what we believe limits us, or the pain that limits us from having the kind of life that we wish, or maybe it's even confusion. When we become free of those things, we actually become into our authentic self, actually living life. So that's why it says freedom, and it's emotional freedom because emotions are a part of every human being that are actually information pieces for our thriving instead of just surviving.
Wow. So when someone, for instance, is confused, that is not that person's real authenticity. It's really something that that person probably believes, this is a confusing situation or whatever.
I believe that's true. We become easily reactive to what's going on around us, and we become easily confused the faster and faster life and all this input comes at us. So it's very easy to be confused. And I don't think any of us believe when we're confused, we're at our best.
Right. I sure am not at my best when I'm confused. So Jondi, how does a person do EFT?
That's the beauty of it also. I guess there's a lot of beauties to it now that I'm talking to you. One is that it's so easily learned. It's easily and quickly learned. Another is that it's very simply felt. And that becomes your, let's call it felt truth. And so how do we do that? We use our own fingertips and we drum or tap percussively. So I just call it tapping on the hands, the face, and the upper body. Just easy to find points that we call nature's own soothing points. And so while we hold in our mind gently whatever it is that's bothering us, including I just feel confused, we do this light, gentle self-care tapping on these points. There's about 8 of them that we commonly use. And within minutes, we have a rapid response to that is positive. So either our confusion becomes more and more one of clarity instead, or that painful sensation we had becomes duller or even gone, or that troubling emotion that we're feeling comes into full, I want to say, illumination, so we can see what is my body trying to tell me to help me in this moment.
Oh, that's excellent. Jondi, you work directly with clients and you train others to be certified facilitators of EFT. What is meaningful to you about this work?
That's a great question. I feel like it's in total alignment with my mission to help others live their best life.
Okay.
I believe it is also part of my mission to help children who are often just so helpless and caught up in this crazy world, especially one that contains tons of natural disasters, man-made disasters. I just feel so much for them. I used to be a teaching artist in New York City. And so this is part of my mission to help children understand how they are made and what their innate natural tools are, and put them in touch with that so they can become self-empowered instead of defenseless.
Oh, that's wonderful. And speaking of children, you're the co-author with Deborah D. Miller, PhD, of Emotional First Aid for Children, How to Quickly Help in Times of Trouble. Boy, these are times of trouble, aren't they?
I'm afraid they are. And we didn't really understand when we were writing this that we would be on the cusp of COVID pandemic. What we did know was, because I was the lead trainer in the Newtown Community Recovery Project from Trauma, Newtown Sandy Hook.
Yes.
I took away a lot of lessons from doing that with that community, where I was privileged to have almost 2 years in that community. And one of the things that I learned right away was that people are so afraid on so many different levels, and with good reason, that they translate that to their children as well. They can't help it. They don't mean to. And therefore, it was I want to say it was so urgent that we wrote this book for them. Little did we know it was going to coincide with a rise of viral load that became pandemic. And so suddenly children had a whole nother layer of traumatic incident in their life that they were highly susceptible and vulnerable to. So for every good reason, we decided to name this little field guide handbook for everyone. We named it Compassion in Action, because I think that's what we're doing, Kate.
Right. And you have published 2 handy-dandy guides about EFT. I found your books on Amazon and bought 2 of the 3. They're very accessible guides, well-written and nicely designed. So besides Amazon, where else can people get the books and also find out more information about you and EFT?
Well, thank you. They are available also on my website, generally in PDF form. I also am writing a few new ebooks, and I hope that I can get a new website up that incorporates several of my favorite healers on the children's topic. So that's something I'm busily working on right now. But for the meantime, you can find me at my website, which is cleverly named JondiWhitis.com.
Okay. I never would have guessed that. And I'll also have a link to that in the show description so that people can get to it really easily. Why do you think, you're welcome, of course. Why do you think it's a good thing to give EFT a try?
Well, the access is so easy. The try it for yourself experience is so fast. And the cost of it is frequently nothing. At the beginning, self-care levels that everyone can learn and access, it costs nothing. So it's almost conversational when I say it costs nothing for you to try it for yourself. See for yourself. You don't have to believe anyone but yourself as long as you try it.
And you don't have to keep paying and paying and paying. You just do it. You can do it just at home. You can do it if you're feeling troubled somewhere. Imagine you could even do it if you're stressed in the car, just do a little tapping.
Absolutely. Well, that's what we teach people to do, is how do you put meaningful, effective self-care into your life at everyday parts? Because most of us are convinced, even if it's not true, we're convinced, I don't have time, I don't have a place, I don't have the memory skills with all this stuff coming on top of me to remember what I'm supposed to do. We have become so hyper busy at least in our minds, that this is the completely accessible way to put it into your life in any way. I call it integratability. What that means is that this is one tool that I feel proud about talking about multitasking for. And so, because all of us have realized multitasking can be somewhat
detrimental.
Somewhat detrimental. But in this way, I have even counseled people who are learning this, who tell me they're too busy. I say, well, what are you typically thinking about while you're showering? Let's just tap while you do that. And they go, oh, I didn't even think about that. And I go, yeah. Do you sit at red lights, or do you wait in bank lines, or do you do any waiting whatsoever? Oh, yes, I spend my life on eternal hold on the phone. I'm like, now there's a really good place to use your time wisely and do a little self-care. You don't lose anything, and you gain your composure, your clarity, a grounded feeling, all that overwhelm you were feeling probably that made you call customer service in the first place. You can really do a lot of good in just a couple of minutes.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much, Jondi. Those are great tips. Thank you. This is Kate Jones with the Gale Hill Radio Hour. Until next time, thanks for joining us.